Good evening, my name is Bodhi Apparatus and welcome to the Westport Independent. This has been described as a censorship simulator. The gameplay has been described to me as something in the vein of Papers, Please, in a similar theme in it also, which we'll hopefully discover as we go along here. But basically the premise of the game here is that we are going to be running a newspaper underneath a post-war regime, redacting and censoring certain things to keep our superiors and overlords happy, and possibly also undermining them at the same time. So it should be kind of interesting. I kind of want to see how it plays. I have not jumped into this at all, so this is going to be completely blind. Let me know how you guys feel about that kind of style. I thought this kind of game, it's short, I've heard, is one of the biggest complaints about it, but we should be able to get through it within a couple episodes here and see what we think and see how it plays out. So let's get into the game here. Westport Independent, a game about censorship, corruption, and newspapers. All right, first of all, I want to lower the music volume on this just a tad and raise up the... Oh, that's too loud too, jeez. There we go. And back, okay. So we have start game and slot 1. Yes, thank you. Very, very convenient. Automatically save between each week. This is a work of fiction. Names, characters, groups, businesses, places, people, fates, everything is made up, fictitious. This is like the boilerplate thing, especially when you're on sensitive topics. A lot of places, a lot of games and stuff will do that. Movies also.
The following is an instructional film about the Public Culture Bill for all independent newspapers in Westport. Throughout this film, we will answer various questions you may have regarding both preparations for the bill and the bill itself. What is the Public Culture Bill? The Public Culture Bill is a new bill that will come into force May 16, 1949, and has been created to improve the quality of independent media outlets. The bill contains 7 guidelines for independent media outlets to follow that will make it easier to create media products of utmost quality. In order to make sure that everyone follows these guidelines, the bill will create a government-driven union called the Loyalist News and Media Association that will be mandatory for independent media outlets to join. What's your responsibility until the bill comes into force? Introducing a new bill takes time. Therefore, until the Loyalist News and Media Association is properly set up and the bill has come into force, the Loyalist government has created temporary guidelines for you to follow. Do not print deceitful content that may harm the appearance of our country. Do not print deceitful content that may harm the appearance of the Loyalist government. Do not print deceitful content that may harm the appearance of the President. And do not print deceitful content that may glorify the acts of rebels or other criminals. Do print content that strengthens loyalty towards the government. Do print content that inspires morality in the public. And finally, do print content that hardens propriety in our society. The Loyalist government expects your cooperation in this matter and hopes you understand the consequences of disobedience and or affiliation with disloyal members of the public. How do I remove improper content from my paper? First, drag an article to your desk. Second, read through the articles and look for fallacies. Third, cross over paragraphs that do not fit with the government guidelines. Fourth, give your article to a journalist so that they can transcribe it. Make sure that you only give them an article you have fully edited, as mistakes can be quite devastating. That is all for this instructional film. Remember that the guidelines presented during this film are for media outlets in Westport only, and is not to be shared with the public.
All right, so as you can see, the tentacles of the Loyalist government here are kind of seeping into freedom of speech in the press here. And our job is to keep everyone kind of happy, keep the newspaper afloat, keep ourselves out of trouble, and supporting our own agenda, hopefully. So we've got mail. And dear editor, Phil has been putting up more Loyalist propaganda in the office. You know I can't stand this shit. I decided to pull it down. It should be on your desk together with his note, Frank. Okay, so Frank is not happy with the loyalist propaganda in the office. Okay, so he's obviously a rebellion, a sympathizer here, so we keep that in mind with Frank here. So we have week 0. People's opinion is this is probably the loyalist side. This is the freedom side, possibly. Okay, so this is our suspicion meter. Okay, so this is how much the government's on to us, I'm guessing. And then the popularity if people like our paper or not. If we just print, you know, drivel that the loyalists want us to print, they might not like it so much. So we have to go with the popular opinion as well. So, let's get rid of that. And this one is... This is the propaganda that Frank pulled down. Loyalty, morality, and propriety. These are the basis of a civilized society. Okay, get it off my desk, please. And, okay, so tutorial censoring. Let's read this quick here. Tutorial Article 1 censoring. One of the game's main mechanics is censoring articles. You do this by clicking on paragraphs that seem inappropriate. When censored, that content won't be shown to the public and will affect neither their opinion nor the government's suspicion of you. You can also change the headline by clicking on it. Different headlines can change the portrayal of an article, so we can alter a few different things. And we're censoring this, censoring that, censoring this, and welcome to the extraordinary, amazing, soon-to-be Game of the Year winner, the Westport Independent. Fair enough. Denied. Employees. Tutorial Article 2, employees. When you've censored an article, it needs to be transcribed. To do this, put it in one of the named folders in the bottom right. Employees all have different opinions, and they'll be discussing how you run your paper. They also have their lives to protect, so don't blame them if they don't wish to follow you to death. Cool. This part is about your employees. Fair enough, okay. So that part is good. And loyalist government pursues harsher actions against suspected rebels. Okay, so this is our first real article here. Loyalist government pursues harsher actions against suspected rebels. A new reform has passed that will hasten the arrests of rebel supporters. Okay. The reform consists of expectations in various privacy laws, allowing police to expedite search warrants. Most of these exceptions apply to ex-criminals with relations to the rebels. However, some expectations also apply to civilians who have expressed disloyal opinions against the government. Okay, so pursues harsher actions or loyalist government attacks the privacy of civilians. Okay, so this is like, this is the obviously supporting against the loyalist government here. This is the inflammatory headline. Loyalist government pursues harsher actions against suspected rebels. Boy, what can we redact from this? Anything? Of a reforms passed that will hasten the arrest of rebel supporters? It's gonna kind of deject rebel supporters, I'm guessing. It's secret to read that. The reform consists of expectations in various privacy laws allowing police to expedite search warrants. Also a little frightening. But it's informative. I think we should keep that in there so people can know the truth here. And then most of these exceptions apply to ex-criminals with relations to the rebels. Okay, so I think that would be a thing to leave in. And then some expectations also apply to civilians who have expressed disloyal opinions against the government. Now this is the one that's like, they would not like us to print this one. The government would not like to see that in there. So I'm kind of tempted just to leave it in there just to see what happens right now. Kind of test our boundaries and see if they want to call us out on that. And I'm not too sure they'll have a problem with this one. This seems like it's kind of in their favor. And then the reform consists of exceptions rather, in various privacy laws, allowing police to expedite search warrants. Okay, so that's a little scary. It's a violation of rights. And this is not, this is a little detrimental too. Okay, so if I get rid of this part, I don't know what the effect would be actually, because if I get rid of this part, the reform is passed to hasten the arrest of rebel supporters. Rebel supporters aren't going to know that people are getting arrested. I'm gonna leave it all. I'm leaving it in. We're printing it as is, and we're leaving it the headline that will favor the government, but also down here this is against the government. Okay, so that's good. We'll send it to. Ooh, we need to give it to a person. Okay, let's take a look at our employee file here. We have Anne, parent, lives by the Eastern factories, married, went to college, Comfort, low, high. She's kind of leaning towards loyalist, and no suspicions there. There's Frank, no college education, lives by the Eastern factories, opposed to loyalists before they came to power, and he's the problem child as far as the government goes, I think. Phil, loyal supporter, lives in the Western districts, lived with his disabled brother, went to private college. Again, he's leaning towards the loyalist, so he's kind of the more conservative. Let's say conservative and liberal, maybe. We're going with it here. I don't know what the viewpoints of the government here is, but let's just say that fascist governments tend to be a little more conservative. Known for having doubtful opinions of the government, and went to college, community college, worked as a freelancer. So she's on the opposite side. So we have Phil, who's on the left side, Frank, who's on the right, and who's leaning towards left. So these are kind of the moderates. Julie and Anne are the moderates. Phil and Frank are the kind of extremes. So let's give it to a moderate rebel supporter and see what they can do with it. So I'm gonna give it to Julie. Let's give it to Julie. Okay, so let's give it to her. And then the public culture bill has been passed. Public culture bill that the government presented last year has been passed today. The purpose of the new bill is to stop the creation or distribution of incorrect and improper content. It will force independent media outlets to either shut down or join the new government union called the Loyalist News and Media Association. I think we need to... New bill has been passed, forces independent media outlets to shut down. I think we need to take our own best interest and call the people to our side in this particular case. Let's see. So this is basically presenting the information. This is describing it, and this is kind of giving a viewpoint. And the viewpoint here is the part that they will have a problem with. So if we redact that part, it's just pure information. The headline explains enough. This kind of reiterates the headline. So I'm thinking again, to try to squeak this past the government, we're gonna try to leave this part out. And oh boy, I really want them to call the public to our side with this part here though. Force independent news, because if people see that they're gonna like shut down our paper, they might care. They might want to take action. They might, call for some changes, which they probably won't get given the regime change here. So this is fine to leave. This is fine to leave. This one's the only one I'm questionable on. This is going to be a very rebel favoring article. So what I'm going to do, because it's such a rebel favoring article, I'm going to give it to one of our more loyalist leaning people and see what they can do with it. So kind of mixing things up, going the opposite ways with each of these things, giving the rebel supporting argument to the loyalist supporter and going the opposite here. So let's go send to print. We good? Let's see what happens. So see how this plays out. You haven't given every employee an article to, no. Yeah, we should wait. Okay, is there any more? I don't understand what, oh, I think it's saying okay, you haven't given every employee an article right this week. This will affect the content of your paper, which will in turn affect how many papers you'll sell. Do you wish to send these articles to print? I don't understand necessarily what they want me to do here, because we only have a couple articles sitting here. Unless we're gonna print this one. Part about the employees. I can't write an empty article. Wait, oh, sorry. Okay, this part is about your employees. We'll give that to Frank, and let him talk about the game. We'll give that to Phil. If they want us to have something printed, we'll have some meta going on here. See what happens. I don't know what's gonna happen there. I hate to have less content in our paper though. Frank, you know I've never been a big fan of the Loyalist government, but the public culture bill is even worse than I expected. Phil, don't blame it on the government, blame it on the yellow journalism and the blatant lies some of the newspapers post these days. There's nothing good about a misinformed public. Well, yeah, sure. But do you realize how much power the government will have over the media with this? I agree with Frank on this one. I can't see how the public culture bill would be beneficial for anyone but the government. Well, media outlets like ourselves have a scary amount of power over people's opinions. On the other hand, I don't think that giving power to government is a great idea either. So, moderate, like I said before. All right, week 1. We'll see what our opinions have changed. So 11 weeks until the public culture bill comes to fruition. All right, so northern suburbs is favorable with, not quite as favorable with us, but we're popular with the paper. They are very much, the northern suburbs is very much on the loyalist side. Western district is very much on the loyalist side. Southern docks is more on the rebel side, and eastern is pretty much still loyalist. So we need to get people's ire up against the government. We really want to take the rebel stance on this and be the rebel newspaper, which I think we might want to do, just to try to undermine everything. We also want to run a successful paper here. We want to stay in business at the end of the day, because then again, if we don't stop that bill from happening, we might not have much of a paper left. So we might have to take better action. Okay. So this bar illustrates your sales for the week. So that's how many papers we sold. We sold a lot more paper to Southern Docks. Container represents the people of that district. The light bar illustrates how many of those papers were sold. The more you sell, the more popular you get. The more popular you get, the more papers you distribute. People's opinions will affect your sales as well. Likewise, a well-selling paper will also affect people's opinions. So, good to know. Okay. People's political opinions is going towards the rebel. Okay, so we want to keep it pretty balanced. We want to get that balance as possible. And then these guys are trusting us. They got +4 there in towards trusting. Interesting. And total popularity went up 18. Awesome. We actually did a pretty good job of keeping the loyalists off our back, getting some support for the rebels, and then also getting our paper a little more popular. Not a bad first day. Now, our mail for today says there's nothing more heartbreaking than a misguided public. In a world controlled by the media, the loyalist government will stop at nothing to protect the people from frivolous lies and irresponsible gossip. The public culture bill is for your protection. Huh, okay. Let's denied. Can't get rid of it? Okay, fine. Oh, we got a lot of stories today. Okay, can we give people more than one story? That's another question I don't know the answer to yet. We'll find out. So, new health study shows the benefits of tobacco. Okay. According to a recent study, cigarettes might have many interesting effects on the human body. In the study, subjects have displayed a larger tolerance to stress as well as lower blood pressure. Other effects include shortness of breath and possible risk of cancer. Okay, so I think, just for the good of the public, we need to be real about this. I say we just keep it even-handed. New study shows smoking kills. Wow, that's a bit bold. New health study shows the benefits of tech. Man, this is pretty black and white here. Okay, yeah, not much nuance to this one. New study shows smoking kills. And then we're not gonna talk about the cancer. We're just gonna talk about the low pressure, blood pressure, and stress. So you might be considered to die from low stress or low blood pressure, or tolerance to stress is possibly killing you. I think we'll just leave it as, sounds good, leave it. Who do we have write that one? We let Phil write that one, because Phil is the loyalist supporter. We'll see how he does with that one. There's nothing to go on that one. I don't know what people are gonna think about that one. Rebels influence Westport papers. Rebel influence Westport papers? Question mark. Today, police started an investigation into rebel influence within Westport's media. This is due to a large number of suspected rebel letters being found in the now vacated Northern Herald. Signed Friendly Rebel Neighbor. Several of the letters contain references to acts of terror. This is why the public culture bill is needed. Okay, let's redact some things from this. Start an investigation into rebel influences within Westport's media. Police scare populace with conspiracy theories. Okay, rebels influence Westport papers? Question mark? Okay, so, let's see. Redacting that part, redacting this part. We're gonna go today. We're just gonna go facts. We're just gonna go pure facts here. We're not gonna have anything incisive about the terror. We're not going to have any support of the public culture bill. We're not even gonna mention it. We're gonna pretend it doesn't exist right now for the most part, at least in this article. And then rebels influence Westport papers. Okay, so let's give ourselves, this article should go to Frank, Anne, or Julie. Now let's take a look here and do a little test to see if we can give somebody more than one article to write. Okay, one at a time. Okay, so we're not gonna be able to write everything today. If we want to write about smoking kills, we probably want to write this one. We're gonna give it to the somewhat sympathizing. And again, I'm kind of trying to mix things up a little bit here. All right, now, fewer beggars than ever claim new statistic. Okay, so New statistics shows that the number of street beggars is lower than ever. These numbers correlate with the police being granted free rein over matters regarding public appearance. Witnesses have reported seeing officers harassing beggars until they either fled or were arrested. Policemen improve public appearance by assaulting beggars. Oh my god, that's inflammatory. They will get put on a list for sure if we write that. We can't write that, can we? I don't think so. I really, you know, obviously call a spade here, but I don't think we can write that. I really don't think so. Okay, so this is like misleading statistics. Like statistics, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. Basically, is the saying, and this is one of those. This is consistent with those. Witnesses reporting seeing officers harassing beggars until they fled or arrested. Okay, this is the inflammatory part here. Boy, but if people read between the lines, we don't need to say this part. This is like reading between the lines. So basically, because they've been granted more powers, this is what they're taking. If we leave this part in, I'm guaranteed we get put on a list for our paper by the government. Police improve public appearance by assaulting beggars. Okay, so this is kind of the duality of it. So we have a inflammatory headline, attention-grabbing headline, and then we don't even mention anything about it. We just have to have them read between the lines. So people will read, these numbers correlate with the police being granted free rein over matters regarding public appearance. Article stops there. But if you read the headline, you can definitely infer what we're talking about there. Smart folks will infer anyways. So we're giving this to Frank because he is going to write, oh, I don't really want to get Frank in trouble, though he's going to get put on a list if he writes that. Okay, we're giving it to Julie, who is going to be our somewhat sympathizing rebel person here. Okay, let's take a look. See, we have a new movie featuring renowned movie star upsets association respectability and social sensibility. Wellster and Son declare bankruptcy. 200 employees lose their jobs. Man attacks police officer, or greatly improve medical care in state hospitals thanks to new regulations. So we have doom and gloom. Let's see, look quick here. We got intrigue. We got science. We got doom and gloom. Do we need something like positive here? I mean, everything's bad news here. Bankruptcy, greatly improved hospitals. This is like positive. Greatly improved mental care in state hospitals thanks to new regulations. A new study claims that the state of the local hospitals has improved over the last few months. It states that medical services have improved since the hospital administration fee doubled earlier this spring. Okay. The Government Medical Association conducted the study. Oh, good. Yeah, just like, you know, leave the mice in charge of the cheese here, basically, is what's going on here. Okay. Government-funded study claims that medical care is greatly improved. Okay, that's the one. Greatly improved medical care in state hospitals thanks to new regulation. Let's listen to this. Government-funded study claims that medical care is improved. I like that one. That's very tongue-in-cheek. A new study claims that the state and local governments improved over the last few years. The Government Medical Association has conducted a study. Leave this part out. Let's print it as is. Who can we give this to? Oh, we're gonna get Frank in trouble. Okay, we gotta switch these up. Yeah, I don't want to get Frank in trouble. I guarantee he's at risk. He's an at-risk youth here. No college education, lives alone. Yeah, this guy's straight up rebel sympathizer. Okay, let's take a look at the other articles here quick. Let's read them through them quickly, not necessarily worry about it too much. New movie featuring renowned movie star upsets the Association of Respectability and Social Sensibility. Lovers of the Southern Skies, featuring renowned actor Harold Finn, premiered last week. The movie is about a pilot who comes under the care of a local girl after crashing his plane outside her town. While mostly praised, the ARSS panned the film for its mature content. The biggest criticism is a bathing scene, which suggests nudity. God forbid. New Harold Finn movie shocks public interest with vile erotica. Oh, this is such a good headline grabber, though. I mean, that'll sell some movie tickets, I imagine. If we write this, put this one in there. I don't think we're gonna use this article though. I think we're gonna see what happens. People might prefer that kind of thing. We'll see. Wellster and Son declare bankruptcy. 200 people lose their jobs. Small factory furniture maker Wellster and Son has officially closed down their business. The company had been steadily losing money over the last 5 years before finally shutting their factories yesterday. Wellster and Son employed around 200 people in their factories and stores. And then man attacks police officer. Man attacks police officer. One teenager was caught writing rebel messages on walls close to Liberty Square. A police officer witnessed the act and intervened by tackling the teenager. The arrest was interrupted by a passerby who pulled the officer away from the teenager. Both the man and the teenager were arrested when the officer's partner arrived on the scene. Okay. Oh boy. I don't know if this is the kind of thing I think we could save as far as not being too inflammatory either way. I mean, she is a rebel sympathizer. If we took that part out and we just said a teenager was tackled by a police officer, the arrest was interrupted by a passerby who pulled the officer away from the teenager, and then both the man and the teenager were arrested when the partners arrived. Wow. So this guy like was trying to help this girl, and they both got arrested. Wow. Man defends teenager, police officer presses charges. Wow, we could really do some damage with this one. Okay, we're gonna leave it out though. Leave it out. Okay, send to print. We're gonna print these 4 articles. Policemen improve public appearance by assaulting beggars. Inflammatory. Government-funded study claims that medical care is greatly improved. Innocuous sounding headline until you read the article and find out that it's like a sham. New study shows smoking kills. Inflammatory headline. And rebel influence paper. Okay, that's the Loyalist headline. I think we're covered our bases here. I think we're pretty safe. Let's see what happens. So we'll go to week 2 and see what happens. Julie, I went to an interview yesterday. They were looking for translators down at Western Publishing. Didn't seem to go too badly, and the pay is decent. You're already planning to leave? Why not? Why not? We're going to get closed down in a couple weeks anyway. A gal's gotta eat. You really think that'll last? You know they're already talking about closing the borders. It'll only be a matter of time. Well, what do you do, Frank? What exactly is your plan B? Christ, I don't know. The plant, maybe? They're always looking for people. Maybe the docks once the shit's blown over. Truth be told, I never really thought it through. I always expected I'd stay here. Yeah, me too. But a gal's gotta eat. Week 2. 10 weeks left until the public culture bill comes into force. All right, our opinions have changed. Popularity has gone up in the northern suburbs. Opinion's still very loyalist though. Eastern suburbs is rising as well. We're actually gaining some ground there. This is data about neutral. We'll take a look and see what the next screen shows us. So we got +1 loyalist to the action. So we might have gone to... okay, so they're no longer suspicious of us. And the loyalists actually got a little bonus back there. And the paper's popularity is +5 still. So we're still getting more popular. The loyalists suspect nothing of our true intentions here. And we did lose a little bit of people's opinion for the loyalists. So they were somehow they came out in favor of, maybe it was the medical article I think that we print. I think the hospital one probably is what tipped them back towards the loyalists. We'll have to be a little bit more careful to walk that line here in the next episode. So thank you for watching this very first episode of the Westport Independent. I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new one. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in influencing my opinion, you can leave those likes and comments down below. And I will be back next time for more Westport Independent. Have a good night.